So this will be the last final examination for this semester, for this year. That's why I'm going to study or I'm going to review all the subjects na kung saan it is a really major subject. Kaya sisimulan natin sa decision making techniques. So ito ay mga reports ng mga reporters na nahati sa iilan, nahati sa kung ilan man. Because I forgot kung ilang grupo. So anyway, maraming topic ito. Maraming mga titles. So, simulan natin sa group decision making. So, I forgot kung sino nag-review nito, ay nag-report nitong topic na to. So, what is about group decision making? So, group decision making is a type of participatory process in which multiple individuals acting collectively analyze problems or situations, consider and evaluate alternative courses of action, and select from among the alternatives solution or solutions. So, before that, ano ba ang ibig sabihin muna ng decision? So, sabi dito, ayan, it is a choice made between two or more available alternatives. Also, it's a process of choosing the best alternative for reaching objectives or goals. So, it's a choice made between two or more alternatives. So, masasabi natin we are deciding on something if merong nakalatag na mga alternatives sa ating pagdedesisyon. And also, we are not deciding for something na nakapag-decide lang tayo, but we are choosing the best alternative for reaching objectives or goals. So we are choosing the best alternative kasi ang daming mga nakapresent na mga alternatives dyan sa atin, sa paligid natin, mga options in making the decisions. But we are deciding because we are choosing what is best alternative, okay, sa ating goals, nire-reach nating goals. So again, going back dito sa report ng isang reporter, so itong group decision making ay merong mga advantages and mga disadvantages. So puntahan natin, okay, yung advantages muna. Sabi niya dito, more information. The groups can accumulate more knowledge and facts. Tama nga naman. So kapag marami kayo, you can accumulate more knowledge and facts because ang bawat tao ay may kanya-kanyang mga perspectives in their environment. So kapag pinagsama-sama nyo yon, no, makakatulong iyon sa pagdedesisyon ninyo. For example, sa isang company, you are in a company. So, syempre, kapag marami kayo doon na magde-decide on a something na meron kayong nire-reach na goal, magiging madali, okay, yung pagde-decide ninyo. You can accumulate more knowledge and facts. And another is more alternatives. So, sabi niya dito, groups have a broader perspectives and consider more alternative solutions. So, kapag mas marami kayo, mas mailalatag nyo yung inyong mga kanya-kanyang perspectives, kanya-kanyang mga alternatives, solutions ninyo doon sa decision na gagawin ninyo. And then, the quality of the decision. So the group members evaluate each other's thinking. So major errors are likely to be avoided. Decisions tend to be more creative solutions to the problem. So kapag mas marami, you can create more qualitative decision. Okay, merong quality, so na-avoid ninyo yung mga maaaring mga wrong, mga errors, major errors na sa inyong mga pagde-decide. So kapag mas marami, mas mapipili ninyo kung ano ba yung the best doon na solution. Okay? Kapag ka nag-gather nyo na lahat ng mga facts, ng information sa inyong pagde-decide, so magkakaroon kayo, it will come into a quality na decision. Ayan. And then, it's disadvantages. Of course, it is time-consuming daw, sabi niya dito. Groups often work more slowly than individuals. Tama nga naman kasi, syempre, you have to give time to the other groups to listen, 'Diba? Na ito yung gusto niyang sabihin, and then the other. So, it really takes time to gather or to accumulate more knowledge and the facts in deciding something for a specific goal. Another is, it is highly expensive daw. So, the process takes longer, it is more costly. So, tama nga rin naman sa isang banda na habang tumatagal na nakakapag-gather kayo ng mga information, nakakapag-isip kayo ng mga factors sa inyong pagde-decide na something, nagiging ano din yun, costly din yun. So, depende yung kung ano yung, depende sa isang organization or sa isang company kung anong klaseng decision ba yung, or ano bang yung ginugol nila. Kaya nagiging costly ito. So, group members may be ignored and outspoken by members who speak the loudest and the longest. So, ayun nga, may mga ibang members din na minsan, because of their personality, hindi din sila napapakinggan, and meron namang mas napapakinggan. Yung sabi nga dito, may be ignored some of the members and outspoken by members who speak the loudest and the longest. So, kung sino yung mas maingay, sino yung mas masalita, sino yung mas maraming nasasabi, madalas siya yung napapakinggan. Ganun yung isa sa mga disadvantage daw ng group decision making. And every one of us naman can decide sa araw-araw nating buhay. We are making decision. Meron man tayong piliin na isang bagay o hindi, still we are deciding on something, no? And ito ay group decision making na ito is hindi natin siya masasabi na ano, no, techniques talaga. It's part of ang tanong dito ay who are going to decide, 'di ba? An individual or is it a group? Okay, so we're now going to discuss some of the techniques or the tools in making a decision. Okay, sabi niya dito, isa dito ay decision making trees. So what is a decision making trees? It is a support tool with a tree-like structure that models probable outcomes, cost of resources, utilities, and possible consequences. So, it provide a way to present algorithms or algos. So, ang algos daw, it is a set of instructions that are introduced to perform a task. Okay, so it include branches that represent decision-making steps that can lead to a favorable result. Okay, so nagsulat ako noon ng example ng decision tree. Ayan, so yung outcomes, okay, so itong tool na to ay tinitingnan nito kung ano yung magiging outcomes ng kanilang decision, the cost of the resources and utilities, and possible consequences ng decision na gagawin. So, ano yung mga advantages niya? One of that is, it is easy to read and interpret. Okay, sabi niya dito, one of the advantages of this tool is that their outputs are easy to read and interpret. Easy to prepare daw siya compared to other techniques. So, decision tree take less effort for data preparation. And another is less data cleaning required. So, ayun ang another advantage niya. So, another disadvantages naman is unstable nature. One of the limitations of decision trees is that they are largely unstable compared to other decision predictors. And another, less effective in predicting the outcome of a continuous variable. So, in addition, decision trees are less effective in making predictions when the main goal is to predict the outcome of a continuous variable. Okay, so yun ang isa sa mga tools na ginagamit sa pagdidesisyon ng bawat company. Is it a government or is it an organization or an individual? Okay, yun yung mga techniques or mga tools. So, yung decision making trees. Another is data analytics purpose naman. So, what is data analysis? It is a process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, and modeling data. So, data analytics is a science of analyzing raw data in order to make conclusion about that information. Okay, so Merong 10 rules itong data analytics na ito. One of that is use common sense. In decision making, you have to use common sense. So may tinatawag nitong economic theory. Okay, and another is it avoid type 3 errors. So it provides the right answer to the wrong question. And you have to know the context, of course, sa pagde-decide. Hindi lang basta-basta na ito yung naisip mong gusto mong pagdesisyonan, but you have to know the full context. Okay, and then you have to inspect the data, keep it sensibly simple, and make sure your results make sense, understand the costs and benefits of data mining. And you have to be prepared to compromise. Okay, you have to be prepared na i-adapt yung magiging desisyon ng isa or ng iba. Do not confuse statistical significance with meaningful magnitude. Always report as sensitivity analytics. So malawak to nung data analytics, no? But we have to remember it's 10 rules. Okay. Another techniques is pros and cons list. So itong pros and cons list, it is a simple but powerful decision-making tool used to help understand both sides of an argument. Itong pros and cons na to ay madalas na ginagamit ng kahit sino. It's either you're a student or a worker or public servant or anyone can use this. So it is we're very familiar in this kind of tool in making decision. This pros and cons list, lagi kapag nagde-decide tayo, iniisip natin ano ba yung magiging pros, ano ba yung magiging cons. So lagi natin ginagamit talaga to. So it's a simple and effective way to reduce uncertainty when there is more than one viable way to proceed. Okay, so dito it becomes the process of this is becomes less subjective or influenced by emotions and personal biases. So naiiwasan dito yung mga personal biases because it weights each argument. Okay, weighting each argument against relevant criteria. Okay, so ayan yung itong pros and cons list. For example, sabi dito, should we update our website? So yung meron silang goal na are they going to update their website? So its advantages is that it will be easier for potential customers to explore. Ayan yung magiging pro. And yung disadvantages naman is it going to be expensive? It is going to be expensive kapag sila ay explore pa. Okay, so it is going to be expensive. We can get rid of the existing flash elements better on iPad, sabi niya ganon, sa Pro, advantage. But sa disadvantage naman, we don't have time this year to edit the existing content. So that's the example of the pros and cons list. Ayan. And then, another naman is the rational decision making. So when we say rational, no, it means we base on logic reasonable. It is opposed. We are opposing to impulsive or whimsy na decision. So we are based on a logical when we say rational decision making. And ano yung mga steps na yun? So one of that is you have to state the situational goal. So this kind of decision making process, it begins with a statement of a situational goal. So what is the goal for a particular situation? And then you have to identify the problem. So okay, you have to gather the purpose of problem identification is to gather information that bears on the goal. And then you have to evaluate alternatives. You have to the evaluation involves assessing all the possible na mangyayari kapag nag-decide ka na ito yung pinili mo or the other alternatives. Okay. So you have to evaluate. And then you have to choose an alternative na. So this is the most crucial step in the decision making process daw. Itong pagpipili na. Okay. So ayun. Yung kanyang rational decision making model. And then meron tayong tinatawag na program and non-program decisions. So, itong program decisions na to, program and non-program decisions are the two basic types of decisions that managers make. So, ito ay para sa mga managers. When we see managers in the higher position, okay, so this depends on their authority, responsibility, and position in the organizational decision-making structure. Okay. So, meron tong mga similarities and differences daw. So, dito sa program decisions, they are traditionally using standard operating procedures or other well-defined methods, SOP, standard operating procedures. So this deals with frequently occurring situations such as leaves of absence by employees. Okay, so pumunta na tayo sa summary niya. To summarize, itong program decisions, its features are program decisions made using standard operating procedures. Okay, so number 2 is it deals with frequently occurring situations. Yung sinabi ko, such as request for leaves of absence by employees. So itong, when we say occurring situations, it is a common situations that we may experience in our daily life. So ayun ang ibig sabihin ng mga occurring situations. Ito ay sa company, sa isang organization, ayan. Itong program decision na to, nagamit ng mga managers. Okay. Much more appropriate for managers to use program decisions for similar and frequent situations. So program decisions, managers make a real decision only once, and the program itself specifies procedures to follow when similar circumstances arise. So it leads to the formulation of rules, procedures, and policies. Yung program decisions, yung futures niya. And then yung non-program naman, unique daw to. They are often ill-structured, unlike doon sa pag sinabing program, meron sinusunod na standard operating procedures, merong method. Unlike dito sa non-program, often ill-structured one-shot decisions. So, traditionally, they have been handled by techniques as judgment, intuition, and creativity. And when we say intuition, it is the ability to understand something immediately, okay, without the need for conscious reasoning ang ibig sabihin ng intuition. Okay. So, recently, decision makers daw have turned to heuristic problem-solving approaches in which logic, common sense, and trial and error are used to deal with the problems that are too large or too complex to be solved through quantitative or computerized approaches. Ayan yung mga niya. Okay. So, sa decision-making technique naman tayo ng financial decision-making naman. So, ano to? Using financial planning as your decision-making framework allows you to take much of the emotion out of the decision-making process and look at the actual numbers behind each option. This process will give you a clearer picture of what makes sense as a way forward. Sabi niya dito, example niya, public expenditure. So, ibig sabihin nito, money spent by government entities on health, education, etc. Okay? So, public debt arrives when public expenditure exceeds public income. Okay, puntahan na natin. Financial administration includes preparation, passing, and implementation of government budget and various government policies. Okay, itong kumbaga ito palang na to, ang sinasabi niya dito, example ng decision making. Financial matters naman. Okay, public expenditure, may public debt na tinatawag, financial administration, allocation function. It studies how to allocate public expenditure most efficiently to reap maximum benefits with available public wealth. So it pertains to the government, tong financial decision making. Distribution function, it aims at seducing the inequalities through the distribution of income and wealth. Stabilization function, it aims at eliminating the business fluctuations and its impact on the economy. So, yun lang. Simpleng pagkaka-define nitong financial decision making. Okay, so meron naman tayong tinatawag na committee decisions. Okay, mahaba to ah. So, sabi dito, ni RF Bales has introduced a new element or concept in the decision-making process. It is called committee decisions. According to Bales or Bales ba to, in practice, decisions are generally taken at various conferences attended by number of executives and important persons having thorough knowledge about organizations. Bales further claims that very often the decisions are not made in any particular organization's meeting. A number of meetings are held and threadbare discussions take place. After a lot of discussion dealing with all the possible aspects, the final decision is adopted. So, sinasabi niya lang talaga dito na ni RF Bales na yung pagde-decide ay dumadaan siya sa maraming mga conferences pa, dumadaan pa siya sa maraming meeting bago mag-come up sa pagkakaroon na ng isang napagdesisyonan. Okay. Bago i-adopt itong isang decision, dadaan siya sa napakaraming mga process, committee decisions, tinatawag. In the conference, the participants express their personal views and experiences regarding the policy matters. And finally, a decision is adopted. Okay, the interesting aspect is that the decision is the product of the cross current of views, tama. It is not one-man activity. So, yun nga, dumadaan siya sa napakaraming mga tao na nagbibigay ng mga kanya-kanya mga personal views in something na kanilang pinagdidesisyonan. Sometimes discussions proceed on dialectically, which means that the opinion of one man does not always prevail. So, tama. Kumbaga, nagkakaroon muna ng mga debate, hindi palaging nagpe-prevail, di laging nagwawagi ang isang decision ng isang tao or ng ilan. So, it comes from a decision ng marami, ng mas nakararami. The argument or reason of one is followed by a counter-argument, and in this way, discussion proceeds. Okay, yun. So finally, a decision is taken which contains the important major views of the participants. It has been said that generally, a decision takes several conferences. Bales himself has admitted that though the committee system is regarded as a factor of decisions, yet it may not be a reliable method. In various cases, it has been found that in a conference, serious disagreements surface and this stand on the way of arriving at a decision. Okay, so ayun. Okay, naintindihan na natin yung committee decisions. And punta naman tayo sa decision making, strategic, tactical, and operational decisions. So, anong sabi dito? Decision making is central to all the managerial activities, be it planning, organizing, staffing, directing, or controlling. So, decision making is a process of making choices from the alternative courses of action based upon factual and value premises with the intention of moving towards a desired state of affairs. Once a decision is taken, it implies commitment of resources. So, meron siyang dinescribe dito na itong decision-making process. First, you have to identify the problem. Ano ba yung problem ng isang organization or in isang company? Okay, and then you have to collect second niya dito is you have to collect the information pertaining. So second is you have to collect the information pertaining to the problem and you have to identify those alternatives. Okay. And then you have to weigh the evidence. Pang fourth. And choose from the alternatives, number 5. And implement the action. Another 7 is the last, evaluate the results. So kapag hindi siya naging effective, iikot lang ulit. Okay. Identify the problem, collect information, identify the alternatives. So, ikot-ikot. Yun yung naging yung process ng decision making. Okay, so, sabi niya dito, yung strategic decisions ay are major choices of actions and influence whole or a major part of business enterprise. They contribute directly to the achievement of common goals of the enterprise. They have a long-term implications on the business enterprise. On the business enterprise, they may involve major departures from practices and procedures being followed earlier. Generally, strategic decision is unstructured, and thus, a manager has to apply his business judgment, evaluation, and intuition into the definition of the problem. These decisions are based on partial knowledge of the environmental factors, which are uncertain and dynamic. Such decisions are taken at the higher level of management. Sa strategic decisions, sabi dito, it is a long term. It is made by senior management, more general in nature. It creates major policy statements are strategic. Okay, so sa strategic, example niya, what products will business produce? Which market sector will we aim for? Yun yung mga example ng strategic decisions. Okay. So tatandaan natin, it's strategic decisions are major choices of actions and influence whole or a major part of business enterprise. So tactical decisions naman relate to the implementation of strategic decisions. They are directed towards developing divisional plans, structuring workflows, establishing distribution channels, acquisition of resources such as men, materials, and money. So they are taken by the middle level of management. Okay. Middle level of management kapag tactical decisions. Well, sa strategic naman ay higher level management. Okay? So, sa tactical decisions, example niyan is short term siya, and again, made by middle managers in functional areas based on aims or goals of organization. More detailed and specific siya. Okay, example niya, increased number of employees to cope with workload. So, ito ay tactical decision. Ginagawa ng isang middle managers. Rename ng business. Ayun yun. Okay, middle level of management. Is tactical yun. Strategic, higher level of management. So, operational decisions naman, those decisions relate to day-to-day operations of the enterprise. They have a short-term horizon. So, dito naman ay these operational decisions are taken at lower levels of managers. Day-to-day routine decisions mainly made by low-level managers or supervisor. So, example niyan, arranging work quotas, dealing with customer complaints. Ayan yung ginagawa ng mga lower levels. Sila yung nasa operational decision making. Okay. Another decision-making techniques is trial and error. Part lang ito ng decision-making. Trial and error. Okay. So, is a problem-solving method in which multiple attempts are made to reach a solution. So, pag di-decide, may trial and error. It is a